Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby Magazine's analysis on Europe Cup and the Championship.
Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup.
Same difference. Big difference. One's the second tier and one's first tier.
Yeah.
Stormers, Sharks and the Bulls in the top
Champions
tier.
Cup, yeah.
And then we got the Lions and the Cheetahs in the lower one.
In the Challenge Cup.
And what a great outcome for the Cheetahs, who are basically going to be playing in Russia.
So they're playing their home games overseas. It was part of the deal to get them in there. So this week they play Scarlets in Parma.
Yeah, though I'll tell you, as a full-blooded male, I wouldn't mind going to Russia with 300 less men working in the environment, you know? I like my chances.
Okay.
But, different story.
Right.
Just geographically, Parma's in Italy, I think,
I mean, other than
that's
that,
where they're based, eh?
Yeah.
And they're always everyone's favourite second team, so now you know why, because they never play at home.
So we've got the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions on Friday night, they host Stade Francais, ranked third in the top 14, coming to visit Ellis Park.
But French teams do not travel well.
No, apparently they don't, especially the top 14. It's a bit of a culture there we've spoken about where you don't win on the road generally in France.
Yeah, and it's on the road because normally like 10 miles down, there's different dialect as well that they speak in to another village. But yeah, I mean, home ground advantage is everything you can in the playoffs. Win your home games, get a bonus point, and just try and get something on the road. And I think the Lions would probably wish that they could have been based internationally for the whole competition, because to be playing a Friday night game at the old Ellis Park and to play Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock, I mean, you just don't get crowds there on the best of times. And so the scheduling has not really helped them in any competition. I was surprised they drew 31-all with the Dragons last week. I thought they would beat the Dragons, having beaten them in the URC. And with the Dragons being on tour for a while, you know. So the one thing that has surprised me in last weekend's games and then also in the URC is we expect these overseas teams to fade quite badly in the last 20 minutes because of altitude. But it's our teams that are huffing and puffing near the end. You know, we get like these big leads, and then it's like we're hanging on to win 42-36. I mean, the Bulls, as inexperienced as that side was I think 28-0 ahead. And then they were hanging on for a victory, and that's not the first time we've seen that. The same with the Lions. We can't say anything about Cape Town and Durban because it's not at altitude, even though some guys think it is. But it should be home wins in this competition at this stage.
What do you put that trend down to? Is it an altitude thing? Do you think there's any relation to tactical changes at halftime by these European teams? Like, what do you think it is?
Well, I love what the Bulls do, and they put it as you run out of the tunnel, and they put their 1,322 meters above sea level, just to remind them it's not about attitude, it is altitude. So, but I think that it's just surprised me, just maybe because they play so often now. In the old days of you'd come and you'd spend 2 weeks and you prepare. Teams are flying in on a Wednesday or basing themselves down at the coast and flying up on Friday morning and playing Friday evening. So scientists have always said, sports scientists, that that's the best way to do it, or to acclimatize for over a week. I've just been surprised at how well they've hung in there, and then maybe it's also because the game's become so professional that teams are just more conditioned these days and to kind of be playing there. But I would still back the Lions to win against Stade. If a match was in Paris, I'd be backing the Parisians, home base side, to win. And the Cheetahs, difficult one because they are playing in Parma, but they're also the side that people just do dig. I mean, they went away to Paul, and I thought they'd take 20, and they won 21-16.
Yeah, I thought they'd lose that.
They had the opposing coaches up for basically assaulting and abusing the referee after the game. It's just wonderful that they went into a competition as the forgotten boys of South African rugby and actually won. And Francais continues to do it.
France staying overseas for a fortnight, what a mess. No, that must be fantastic.
What they have going for them, Mark, is they're not taxed from a player point of view. The players aren't playing often, and you know that sort of that. I know that's negative. I know that can be a negative in terms of rust and everything else, but you know they're not taxed from a physicality point of view. They've got a lot of miles on the. They don't have a lot of miles on the clock each year.
Yeah, I mean, their thing was to prepare for the Currie Cup. That's where they put their focus. But there's something about them when they were left out of the
Exactly.
URC is that they really have a point to
A
prove
chip on
that,
their shoulder,
that they belong there. And they're a side that just everyone enjoys because they've always been this feeder to the bigger unions. And then to get the likes of Rowan Pino and Francais still there, playing out their careers. And they just, I mean, especially Francais has got such charisma about him in that he's either angry or he's angrier on the field and very happy off the field. And I just think it was fantastic. He was one of the superstars of French rugby for so long when he played in Racine and then at Montpellier. For him to go back as like the senior statesman and win, just a great effort for them. And you know, we said earlier the Challenge Cup means nothing till you win it. It's like a watered down Currie Cup. It means nothing till it's the final and you've won nothing else. You know, it's a trophy. So
Yeah, it's the equivalent of the UEFA Cup.
exactly. Yeah. As soon as you go into, but when they do that playoff at the end, where the champions of one play the champions of the other, becomes a World Cup final, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that they will still win. The Cheetahs at home in Italy, and I think the Lions will win.
So double win in the Challenge
By
Cup.
how many?
I think the Lions will win by 15. What do you say, Zels?
I'm going to say that the Lions win that game, and I'm going to give them 8 points for the victory. I think I think they will win it. I'm not convinced after that draw with Dragons where we are over there, but you've got to hope that fourth quarter thing kicks in. I think there's an element with these South African teams at altitude where, I don't know if you remember when the Lions first turned things around under Ackerman. For the first 20 minutes, half an hour in the game, they basically didn't tackle. The other team ran themselves out of gas. They scored 58 tries in the first 15 minutes. Everyone was already having halftime beers. And then in the second half, the Lions would switch on, other teams poked, and they would come back and win these games. And in a way, I don't know, South African teams seem to start really strong. We get all our offloads out of our system, and then it seems like we fade at the end. So
I can't. You know, all they've got is the main one.
The Champions Cup, yeah.
the
They don't have
Champions
Challenge
Cup.
Cup odds.
So I mean, they agree with you. Who cares? But, okay, we do. We do.
I'll say Lions by
I
8
thought
points.
there's about a radio silence there, but thanks for coming back.
What have you got, Kev? Are you making a pick?
I'll look later on tonight and look at the total points, because I think this could be a very free-flowing, high-scoring game, a 60-40 or something.
Okay. And Cheetahs in Palmer against Scarlets.
Scarlets are shit.
But I mean,
And the Cheetahs are great.
what do you say?
Why are you doing a Scottish accent for a while?
Because that was a Bloemfontein accent.
That was 6 beers in at the Mr.
I
Poor.
was speaking the good English there.
Mystic boy. Oh, I've been there a few times.
Did you come out alive?
Nothing mystical about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
That's
pause
the chairperson to tell you the Challenge Cup is not a shit
Hey
competition.
Max, I'm just in a shoot right now. I'll give you a call back. Okay, I'll call you right back. Okay, thanks.
Beautiful. All right, so let's move on to the bigger games.
All right.
The Bulls against Exeter.
The Bulls are at Exeter.
They picked the same team that stayed at home and beat Leon. It's a mix-and match. It's an experimental team. The Exeter Chiefs, they still call the Exeter Chiefs.
Like that.
Are they allowed to win? Will they win?
Mate, they are overwhelming favourites to win that game. I love the fact that Jake stuck with the B team. I think the B team is happy they got stuck with. I think South Africans love being written off. Jake has told these guys that they're not his first stringers and they're eating it up. I loved how they played last week. I don't know whether they're going to beat Exeter, but I think they're going to give a good account of themselves. I'm going to say Exeter to win by 7 points.
Exeter are going to pump them by 15. I think you're giving the Jake Bulls way too much credit for that game. He's already prepared us for a big defeat, telling us how hard it is to go to the UK, how hard it is to play in those conditions, especially with the first team, how hard it is to manage 3 competitions. He's prepared everyone for failure, and then when he gets the win, he's called that team phenomenal like he did last week.
Yeah,
Strategic, but they're going to take a big one.
But Exeter are a good side.
They're a good side.
They're a good side. And, like you say, Jake sending a very motivated B side, but you got to be careful when you analyze the South African team as a B side. You know,
Exactly.
depending on the conditions, and I don't know what they are yet. The bookies have them by about 16.5 to plus 16.5. It's a game I'll stay away from. It's too many unknown factors, and bookies probably have it about right.
But you're comfortable Exeter will win?
Oh yes, yeah, for sure. Exeter will
All right. We'll exit that one.
Exeter will win, and then we have the we've talked about Bordeaux, yeah.
We have not really talked about Bordeaux and the Sharks.
Okay, well let's talk about Bordeaux Beglers.
They're playing in France.
In France.
Bordeaux ranked 9th in the top 14. Sharks sputtering.
And the Sharks don't travel well. I mean, they beat the Dragons by 1 point. They beat Zebra by 4 points. They're not going to go to Bordeaux and with that performance. Albeit that those games they were minus a lot of decent players.
I just pre the show, I was kind of insistent on what would happen. This game was being played in Durban, and then I found out it wasn't, which makes the Sharks for me even more overwhelming favourites because they don't have to deal with the humidity.
Oh my goodness.
I tell you every week, it pains me to say it, but I'm going to give this one to the Sharks, and I'm going to say they're going to, with their physical pack of theirs, they're going to upset the Bordeaux, as we know them, Bordeaux, and they're going to win by 11 points.
Whoa!
Mark,
11 points.
I don't know what you're smoking.
I don't smoke, but it's a charitable season. It's December.
I'll have a puff.
Well, I can tell you one thing, you're absolutely wrong. There is no chance. There's something foul in the state of Denmark. Meaning, that's a quote from Shakespeare. And there's something foul in Durban. There's something wrong with this team.
Yeah. We've been saying it.
It's not functioning. And to go to Bordeaux, I'm going to take Bordeaux to win a close game, but I don't think the Sharks go there and surprise anybody.
I'm with you on that, Kev. I believe Bordeaux will win this match. I love Jaden Hendricks' no-look backflip to the short side with my Pimpy going over was great. I'm not sure there's enough individual magic that you can string it together to win this game. I think the Sharks are a team that needs to probably be a little bit less fractured. But we're going to find out on the weekend, on Friday night at 10 o'clock if you're staying up.
I'll be up.
I think Bordeaux takes a close game.
Escort time's load shedding. Yeah, so you're wrong. Me and Zels.
He's in his black. He's supporting the Sharks 100% these days. I can't believe this guy.
The last time I heard you speak with such confidence, Kev, was in 2011, and we were on a radio show, and you said, if the Lions win, I'll bet my house on the fact that they can't.
He's been living in his car ever since.
We couldn't find him for the rest of the season because the Lions apparently won a game. So I'm sticking with black, even though they'll probably play in white or grey, but because they're away team.
Look, I hope they win, but it's a tough ask to go into a cold environment, and it's cold in France right now.
Yep.
It's minus something degrees. You get those boys that love the humidity and that. It's you go from playing in 24, 25 degree humidity to -3, -4 degree weather. You just want to get through 90 minutes.
I mean, just imagine the Sharks coming through the airport in their flip-flops in winter in France.
Yeah.
It'll be bad.
I hope that they're not that naive, but you never know.
I think the cold will suit them more than the humidity because they do have a decent pack. And what they haven't been able to do at home is hold on to a ball. So they may want to play every game in -2 degrees. It never has to go past 10.
Look, I like Bordeaux, and I think they'll win by 4.5 or more.
All right.
Okay, that's Friday night wrapped up. To the big game.
To the big game,
To the only game.
to the window, to the wall.
The only one that matters here.
Okay, it's the big game, the Stormers versus the London Irish.
London Irish.
To be sure.
Hard to be sure. I love it when you talk pirate.
I know.
So
Yeah, I mean, you got to back the Stormers. They are overwhelming favourites to win that match. I think they're 15-point favourites according to the bookies, and I think they full value for that 15.
Yeah, but you know the one thing, when you look at the London Irish, they don't lose a lot of games. The last 4 of their last 5 away games, they've lost by 2, 5, 4, and 2. They stay in games. They find ways to stay in games.
Do you think they've got a stinky surprise in their arsenal? Do you think it's possible that they could ambush the Stormers, or you just think
Not
they're gonna beat
ambush,
this
but
team?
I just think that 15.5 is a lot
too
to
much.
give a team that sticks in games.
But don't you think it's, if you London Irish, eh?
Who are you?
Yeah, aren't you a bit confused? You never know if it's a home or away game, so you just keep on playing.
Look, there's always the Cape Town factor,
Yep.
where guys come, and I know that the London Irish landed on Monday.
Yep.
So they've been at the Cullinan since Monday, swimming in the pool. It's been a beautiful, warm. It's been a humid week in Cape Town. So it's tough not to get sucked into that sort of Cape Town holiday vibe, because I know half of my employees are. There's fucking no one around.
Yeah, I haven't been at the office for weeks.
I know.
You haven't noticed.
Thanks for coming in today.
But you have been driving the Jimny around in that military cargo of yours, eh? Love it.
Exactly.
Eh? You've got the army green on.
So state of mind,
Yeah.
not for So I hope they don't get sucked into that.
Yeah.
But I like 15.5. Anytime I see a 15.5, is that hook,
Right.
And the hook is that they could be down by 22 with a minute to go.
Score a late try.
Late try, bang, you cover.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you, Kev, except for the fact, like, if the Stormers had finished Clermont off last week, I would think maybe it's possible. But after that second half performance, they really do need to put in an 80-minute effort this week.
yeah, but beating London Irish by 12 or 13 is enough. It's
Right.
when teams get those leads, you also want to take some people off, wrap them in cotton wool. They've got the Bulls upcoming,
Looming.
and that game. Jake is Dobbo's bitch, and I'm sure he will want to try and get that tag off him.
Keo?
Speaking on behalf of Jake, I won't be barking. This is an interesting one, the DHL Stormers at home, because 14-3 against Clermont. They had the pack, dominated them. We've seen a few very poor last 30 minutes from the Stormers in the URC. This wasn't so much as a poor last 30 minutes. This was just very poor individual mistakes. And from players you don't expect it from.
Howlers.
Howlers. And Mani Lebok, as brilliant as he was against Italy, and has been for the Stormers, it was probably the worst second half performance I've seen him play.
And these things happen, Emma.
It does, but you've got a guy who's just come off a Bok tour. He's on a cloud that he just thinks things are great. Maybe he needed that awful 30 minutes to settle him and realize Christmas hasn't come early. So at home, bonus point's going to be vital. I think the Stormers win and they get the bonus point, but I think London Irish get quite a few tries as well. I think for the first time there was a bit of doubt put into the Stormers side in the way they imploded through those mistakes in France.
Look, what was the record, Mark, of Clermont at home?
No, Clermont were it's now 33 out of 36 winning in Europe, and they had won 77 in a row on their own. But I said to Dobber the week before that it's Michelin tires and a rugby field. That's their field of dreams. So if you leave there without a tire around your neck, you've done well. Okay. Yeah. But at 14-3, and the way they were playing,
it was theirs to lose.
Wayne Barnes said to him, he thought he's never seen a team come here, dominate them like that, and thought that this could be a 20, 30-point win for them. And he felt, he's not saying they should have won the game when I spoke to him a bit earlier. He said he was just very disappointed at the way the game played out in the second half. And that's what they've got to fix, because where they're scoring in the last minute and winning every game, and people were raving about them, and we were saying, this team doesn't give up. They're magnificent. They're not beaten till the end. They'll score that 81st minute try.
Yeah, cardiac kids.
For the first time, they looked disjointed. And they had a lot of guys who weren't in the Springboks before who came back. And they've got guys who were here waiting for this, and their first taste of European rugby against the French team. So when we look back on the season, and maybe the 30 minutes that proved defining for them because it really anchored them. But they need a good performance to show they're ready for the 2 home derbies, which are going to be a hell of a tough against the Bulls and the Lions at a time of year where ordinarily these players would be on holiday.
Yeah.
So mentally, it's going to be a big ask for them. Physically as well, they're the ones who've travelled back from France. But they really need to show us more than 45 scintillating minutes. I think a good 80-minute performance with a lot more rugby intelligence than just being these Mavericks that everyone fell in love with last season.
Yeah. I agree. I fully agree with you, Mark. You know, it was encouraging for them to dominate Clermont, especially when you consider that is a fortress. You know, like you say, and it certainly would bode well for the return leg. They should be able to put them away, and the London Irish we should be able to put away. I'm just saying that 15 and a half is probably too much. I'll probably be looking at the 50 plus 15 and a half on London Irish, knowing that the Stormers will win.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably more close to a 12-point game, but I think a high-scoring 12-point game.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Stormers by 20.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to say Stormers by 20. I think that they have a point to prove this week.
Yeah.
I think they come out focused, and I think they finish this game. I think they finished. I think that fourth quarter is going to be good.
Have the teams?
Gobbo, thanks, okay.
Have the teams been announced yet?
No, we must wait 24 hours beforehand. They've been given that luxury, which I just don't understand.
No, it's ridiculous.
So how do you sell a game when the public don't even know who's going to be there? So hopefully there'll be a good crowd in Cape Town, but it's one the Stormers have to win this one, and they have to be impressive because, like you said, Kev, they'll knock Clermont over, but you win this one, you give yourself a chance of boxing something when they play the London Irish, when they play them in London.
And for those going to the game, word of warning, leave early. Don't be stuck in traffic. Get there, have a fan walk, have a bite to eat. Just don't be stressed about it. You know, just take a few hours, get there early, park your car somewhere away from the stadium, and enjoy the experience.
Yeah. So I'd say leave on Friday and you're going to have a great time.
I'm keen to see how South African fans respond to summer rugby. It's the first time we've got it. I'm keen to see if we can fill those stadiums. What happens there?
Well, you know, I would say that it's great because no one really that I speak to care about cricket anymore. We seem to have given up on cricket. So if rugby becomes a summer sport, then great.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
All right, so we're unanimous. Stormers to win it.
Do we have any South African teams losing?
Yeah, I have the Sharks. I have the Sharks losing.
You guys have the Sharks losing.
And the Bulls.
And I have the Bulls losing.
I've got the Bulls.
Yeah, it's nice that you remember the show. But
Yeah.
Thanks. I just wanted to check.
Yeah. So we got a 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks for the
So
show.
it's been a pleasure.
Oh, thanks for the show. Thanks for coming in. And good luck with whatever you're doing this weekend. Enjoy the rugby.
Thanks.